Hi, my name is Alona and I like to garden. Today I'm giving you an update on my garden, including vegetables and flowers. It's early June, and I'm also going to be telling you how is it that I came about to have all those petunias. If this is something you're interested in, then let's go. Let's start with the veggies. So this is bed one, and this is the bed where I did not have fertilizer initially. Now, full disclosure, I did add some now, so the veggies are catching up to their counterparts in bed two, but they're still a little bit smaller. Okay, so to get started, I have cabbage over here. It is folding its leaves already, looking nice. I have chard over here, also looking pretty good. Now, I did run into a leaf miner problem this year for the first time. I've never seen that before. I've been treating the plant with neem oil and plucking the affected leaves. I don't see any affected leaves right now. Everything seems to be okay, but I will continue monitoring. So that's what my chard looks like. I got broccoli right here. It's starting to form a head. I am a little bit nervous about my brassicas at this point because we've had weather in upper 70s and low 80s for a couple of weeks now. And then last 2 days, all of a sudden, we just hit mid 90s. And these cold weather crops, they just don't do good with heat like that. Especially when it comes on suddenly like it has. So, well, but it is what it is. We don't control the weather, right? Okay, I got another cabbage here, also doing pretty well. I got some spinach. I hope it doesn't bolt in this heat, but I'm not confident. I got broccoli over here. It is a decent sized head, but again, monitoring that, I'm worried it's gonna bolt. I got the eggplant. Now the eggplant are doing a-okay. The lower leaves are a little sad. It might need some water. Yeah, it's starting to get dry. It's been super hot. But it's doing all right. I got another broccoli back there, also forming a head. Not very big one yet. I got sweet pepper. Now this one is blooming and it is forming fruit. So here's my first pepper right there and a second one over here. More to come. A brandywine tomato. This one's doing all right. It is starting to form flowers. There they are, but no fruit yet. I'm gonna keep watching this one. I got a jalapeno pepper over here. Now this one does have fruit. If we pick the leaves, there is a pepper right there. Another pepper over there. I think, yep, there's another one hiding over here. They're still tiny, but they're getting there, so I'm excited about those. And then the last thing I have in this bed is this heirloom tomato. It's not blooming yet, but it is starting to form flowers up on top here. So that's good. Hopefully we'll see those bloom very soon. In these two cells, I did seed a watermelon. It finally poked through this morning. I'm really excited to see that. Hopefully it does okay. And then on this side, I put a zucchini. I only need one. I put 2 seeds down, both germinated. So I'm gonna get rid of one of them for sure. I just don't know which one. I'm kind of seeing how they're gonna do over the next few days, especially with the sun and the heat that we've been getting, to see if any one is doing better than the other. Obviously, that's the one that I would want to keep. Now moving on to the second bed. This is the bed where I did have fertilizer right away. And as you can see, the plants here are substantially larger size. So this is my cabbage. It is folding leaves and starting to form head. This is awesome. I also harvested a few leaves at the base because they were shading my carrots, and my carrots needed a little bit of room there. I also needed some cabbage leaves for a recipe, so that worked out really nicely. So this is the carrots. As I was saying, they were kind of squished and shaded by the cabbage leaf, but hopefully they'll make a comeback here soon. Here's another broccoli I have. This one is a pretty good sized head already, but like I said, it's been really hot last couple of days, so I'm worried that it's gonna start bolting soon. Under the broccoli leaf, I have some lettuce, or not lettuce, spinach hiding. Again, watching it as it can bolt anytime now, but I'm hoping to get at least another harvest off of it. Got some beets right here, looking good. Now my beets were also affected by the leaf miner situation. I'm not seeing any, nope. I'm not seeing any affected leaves right this moment to show you guys, but I keep monitoring because every once in a while they just pop through. I have more carrots over here. Now these were not shaded, so they're doing a little bit better than the carrots on the other side. I have another eggplant right here. And this one is blooming. There's a flower right there. That's exciting. Marigolds are doing wonderful. Got another sweet pepper here. Now this one is also blooming, and there's a first pepper. Really awesome. Another broccoli. Another cabbage. See, this one's really trying to hide from the heat and protect its head. I did cut a couple of leaves off of this one too. I have a kale. It's really been gaining in size, which I'm happy to see because I really want to make a soup with kale here soon. So hopefully I'll be harvesting in the next couple of days. And then last but not least, I do have a cherry tomato growing in this bed. Now this one is already blooming. Look at all these flowers. There's another set of blooms coming up above, but I'm not seeing any fruit yet, so hopefully soon. Now I did have a cucumber that I planted in this square. It actually did come up a couple of days ago and it looked wonderful, but as the heat hit mid-90s in the shade, in the sun, it's like over 100 degrees, it just fried. That little seedling just starting to poke through, so I actually have to seed another cucumber here again. And then on this side, I also planted another watermelon, but I don't see anything come up yet, so hopefully soon. Last but not least, I have peas. Now, oh my gosh, poor peas. They're not happy with this heat, but they are trying. And these containers, they actually dry up pretty fast, so I have to stay on top of it pretty consistently as far as watering them. But they are trying to bloom, so here's a bloom on this one. I don't see any blooms in this container yet. I think it's starting to form one right here. There are a few blooms over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 blooms. Another couple of blooms. Now these containers did not have fertilizer initially, and if we look towards the bottom of these plants, they were affected as far as nutrition that was available to them. But once I added the fertilizer in these little containers, they started doing so much better. But a couple blooms here. And then last but not least, I have a few blooms in this one too. I have one over here, one over here. It's trying to form one here. Here. Now see, these are still stunted from the lack of nutrition because there wasn't any in this mix. So coming back to Mel's mix topic, so based on my limited experience of last couple of months, I would not recommend using Mel's mix as is. I would definitely recommend adding at least some fertilizer, some nutrition into the mix. Oh, and look at this. I actually see the very first pea right there. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. All right, so those were my veggies. Now let's move on to flowers. Last I showed you guys, I did not have any peonies yet. They were getting ready to bloom, but they were not blooming yet. Well, ta-da! They are in full bloom now, and these blooms are really big and heavy. Just to give you an idea, every stem has multiple flowers. So like this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 flowers. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers on one stem. And they're pretty much all like that, which is beautiful on the one hand, but on the other hand, these stems have a really hard time supporting these flowers. And this is what happened. See, they're kind of flopping downwards, which I haven't had that happen before. I haven't had blooms that are this size before. So for next year, I'll just be aware that if it starts forming multiple flowers on one stem, I'll have to cut them down to maybe 3 per stem, no more than that, so that the stems can support them. Even though I do have supporting rings in these, because the heads are so big and so heavy, they just flop over the rings. But nonetheless, the flowers are gorgeous. Now an update on things in the planters. So this is my geranium starting to bloom. It's beautiful. Coleus starting to put on growth up on the bottom here. This is where it's going to start bushing up off to the sides. This petunia from Lowe's looking good. Lots of blooms on that. It did start to yellow a little bit, so I'm wondering if there's too much moisture in this bed. I'm still playing with the watering schedule here, so hopefully it resolves over time. Now this is one of the petunias that I grew from seed. It's this really light purple lilac color. It's pretty. Starting to bush up over here. And then another geranium. So the first one we looked at was fuchsia. This one's more like peachy pink color. It does have quite a few flowers on it. Some of them are getting ready to go, but then the new ones are coming already too. Then the last thing on this side is this little plant over here. I have just added it earlier today. This is a lantana that I bought earlier in the year. This one got fried up by the sun that poked through one day a few weeks ago. It got really damaged on the leaves, so I trimmed it back from all the sun damage and I let it kind of restore a little bit. So it's starting to come back and put on new growth. So I thought this was a good time to plop it in the ground. So there it is in this bed. Now moving on to the other side of this planter. I have these super bells right here. They're really pretty. I have my salvia. It's bushing up but no flowers yet. It is getting pretty big, so like this is my hand, this is the flower. It's getting big and it's getting big fast. Right next to it is that red daisy type flower. I got the first one over here and it's cute. It is darker than I thought it was going to be, but I actually like it more. I think it's a really pretty red, deep red color. I have another petunia that I grew from seed. This one is a double toned. It's like a fuchsia and white, but every flower is a little different, so it makes it kind of fun. I got another geranium over here. It's putting out some blooms. I got a coleus. Now this one is not doing much. It's just kind of sitting. It's not growing. It's not really showing signs that it's struggling too bad. It's just kind of sitting for now. So it got put in the ground a few days ago, less than a week. So hopefully it starts picking up in growth here soon, because I really enjoy this color and I want it to get bigger. Sweet potato wine. This one's getting larger in size. I really am happy to see that. Look at the color of the new leaves. It's really, really pretty. Hopefully we get to see more of those. And then we do have another geranium, the last one in this bed. This one is starting to put out some flowers too. I do have more peonies over here. This is the bush I harvested my annual peony bouquet off of. This one basically has the same problem where the blooms are multiple per stem and stems have a hard time supporting it. I'll put a picture of the bouquet that I picked off of it. It's gorgeous. But again, same thing for next year. Watch out for how many blooms it has. And then last but not least are my begonias. Now with the heat that we have been getting last couple of days, this little area does get a little bit of sun, and it just was a little much for it, so it fried a couple of flowers back there. But for the most part, it's doing pretty well and shaded pretty well between this peony bush and these lily bushes. Another peony bush over here. Now this one is pretty. It doesn't have quite as many buds per stem. So this one only has 2. This one has 1. So it supports them a little bit better, and this is what the bush looks like. Isn't it pretty? David's phlox is coming along. I got another peony bush over here. Now this one's different than the previous bushes. This is a Shirley Temple variety where it starts out with pink flowers that gradually fade to white as the flowers mature. Now these flowers are just about done, so I'll be cutting them off soon. And then more David phlox. And last but not least, I have my last peony bush over here tucked in the corner. This one does not get as much sun as everything else, and it's kind of is the last one I tended to. So even though it's exactly the same variety as the first 3 bushes we looked at that were covered in flowers, and even though it was planted at exactly the same time as those 3 flowers, this bush is not doing as well. As you can see, it only has a couple of buds. They're pretty small and they're not even blooming yet. And of course, we have to talk about the petunias. Here I have my glow-in-the-dark variety. It's growing up quite nicely and putting on a lot of blooms. I need to find a permanent home for it, so that's coming up. Then, of course, I have all of these petunias that I'm growing from seed. And by now, some of you are probably wondering, what the heck is going on with all these petunias? Who in the world needs this many petunias? And what is this girl going to do with all these flowers? Well, let me tell you how it came about to be. So this January, when I was seeding my flowers, I was hoping to end up with maybe a dozen petunias after everything was said and done. I was using older seeds from 2 years ago, so I knew that the germination rates probably will not be as good, and the seeds are so tiny, so I might as well seed a couple extra cells just to be on the safer side. So I did. I seeded 20 cells of petunia seeds, hoping to get a dozen. Well, to my surprise, all 20 cells germinated. And not only they germinated, but they had multiple plants in each cell. So instead of getting 12 plants like I was hoping for, I ended up with 60 petunia plants. And the smart person would just get rid of the extras. They would say, hey, I don't need this many, I should just toss them. But no, not me. I did not have the heart to toss out all these plants. I wanted to nurse them to health, so I kept them all. Yep. And here we are today. I got 60 plus petunias that are growing from seed. They're finally starting to bloom, so I'm finally getting to see what colors I'm getting. And to be honest, it's been a variety of purple colors that I've seen open up so far, from deeper purple to lighter purple to spotted purple, which I actually like purple, so that's great. I also had some whites mixed in, and then over the last couple of days I got a couple pinks like this pink. And now I'm still planning on using all these petunias in my landscape. I have a couple flower beds in my front yard, and then also got quite a few pots that I want to plant this year. So if you're interested in what all these plants are going to look like when they're planted out, then consider subscribing, because starting next week the videos will start coming out about what is it that I'm doing with all these flowers and what the final result will look like. With that, I'm going to finish my video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, happy gardening.